What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Coreboy back at it again today with, well, a new video. Y'all know what to expect when you come here. Today, we are over here on Black Ops 6 still. Yep, we're still having fun. We're still working on this Jackal because, like I said in yesterday's video, yes, I'm going for the camo challenges. Am I taking it kind of slow and just kind of having fun with it? Yes, I am. I'm not particularly going for headshots or anything like that. I'm just trying to enjoy myself because, I see the stress that comes from some players, and I just don't want to deal with that myself. We are also almost done with the Archangel and the RCXD as well when it comes to getting kills with the kill streak. So after that, we're going to do the SAM turret and the care package, and then everything else after that. So we are just out here working our asses off, going for these streaks, trying to have fun with it. Also, still very addicted to this ransack mode. And also, because yesterday I uploaded a different video going over Season 1, I kind of wanted to talk about something today. For those that don't know, as of yesterday, Halo Combat Evolved, yes, the first entry in the Halo series, turned 23, which is a little weird to me. For people who don't know, I started playing Halo in 2006 around the, what I guess we would consider the tail end of Halo 2, and I have been playing ever since, and I absolutely love the series. That's what this channel is mostly geared towards, is Halo content, if you can't tell, with the machinimas that I do, which I put one out yesterday. You should go watch it. Did it with a couple of friends. It was pretty funny. Just kind of just having a little fun with a new weapon that might possibly be coming to Halo. Just having a good old time. I'm trying to work on some other stuff as well with some friends of mine. We're gonna see what happens with that. But other than that, I just genuinely can't believe it's been 23 years already since Halo Combat Evolved came out. For those that don't know, that game to me is very, what's the word I could use for this? Very personal to me. While Halo 2 was my first Halo experience, I remember playing through the campaign of Halo Combat Evolved with my brother whenever we were really young, and that has like stuck with me ever since. Same with Halo 2. Just a lot of childhood like core memories that got me into games at a very, very young age, and I have just loved them ever since, like to be completely honest. And playing Combat Evolved even now, you realize how important that game is. Not even to just like Halo as a series, but kind of FPSs in general. The game was so unique for its time. I mean, while it does have its issues, like don't get me wrong, Combat Evolved has its fair share of issues, like a lot of games from that time did, where there's mostly just like one really, really good weapon and half the other weapons in the game don't really get used. That game kind of fell into that same kind of loop with the Magnum issue, but I don't know, something about Halo Combat Evolved just kind of sticks really personally with me as a fan of the series, realizing this is where it all began. It has personally one of my favorite art styles ever. I did a video on it not too long ago called What Makes Combat Evolved So Good, or What Makes Combat Evolved Great. And one thing that I always harp on with that game is the use of liminality really sets that game's tone. It's creepy, but not done in a sense that they want to make a horror game. It's done in its own very unique sort of way that just makes it stand out amongst the rest of the crowd of FPS games that came out at the time. No game was really defining these lines between survival horror and being a traditional FPS. It was always you're one or the other. For example, games like Resident Evil and Silent Hill just were kind of survival horrors. That's all they were. Halo kind of defined a line, though. They used sci-fi elements. They used indirect horror elements that were really cool and really let the liminality of the world like hone in on that. It's something that to me has always really stuck out about Combat Evolved compared to other Halo titles. Whenever you're just walking around and it's quiet, there's noises that you'll hear throughout the world, and it kind of sets this tone of like you don't know where you are. Like this is somewhere that you've never been, or you look at the like the geological structures and you're like, what in the hell is happening here? Like it doesn't feel human, but it feels comforting and uneasy at the same time, which is a sense of liminality. It's very desolate and open, but also very vibrant and pretty, but not too vibrant to where it would really make it feel like neon. It's done in its own weird, unique way, and it's something about that game to me that has just stood out and stood the test of time as we've went on through the series. And while the elements of horror and suspense has kind of been lost in Halo, it's still a big part of its identity, even in the storytelling aspects. They may not show it directly in the world, but a lot of the stories that surround the series have kind of really honed in on that. They've kind of made it a part of the game's identity. I'll always stick by the fact that I think, the Flood in Combat Evolved is kind of just terrifying. They're kind of quiet, but they're also loud and make their presence known. They also attack in these huge groups that were actually like kind of impressive at the time. They never stop spawning. It's like they're just always there, overlooking you. Or when you're playing through 343 Guilty Spark for the first time, and you look up into the woods and you see these weird creatures moving, which turn out to be the Flood. It adds a sense of suspense to it, of like, well, what the hell is this? Like, what are these things that I'm seeing that I haven't fought yet, or that I'm, possibly going to have to fight at some point or another? It takes a very unique dynamic and expands upon it, and it's something that I do wish Halo would kind of have more in its later games. And I think to a degree we were supposed to have it with Infinite, with some of the stuff they were working on that ended up getting cut, unfortunately, due to the insane dev cycle that Infinite has had. But I do hope it's something that we see in the next mainline title, with whatever it may be. And if the rumors are true about the Combat Evolved remake, I don't want the game to lose that. The biggest thing that I've said about the Combat Evolved remake that has kind of stood, like, true to me at least, is with games like Reach existing, with adding a very, like, I wouldn't say a diverse sandbox, so there's really only one weapon that you fucking should use in that game, which is the DMR. Just get good with the DMR, you're going to be successful in that game. But since we know weapons like the DMR existed, or, just a bunch of other weapons that are in Halo's sandbox now that we know existed around the time of Combat Evolved and even prior, I do think we should see those in that remake. I don't think the game should be so heavily enforced on the Magnum, but also don't make it to where it doesn't feel true to what Combat Evolved's identity is, because it does have a very unique identity within the series. Like, it's something that I've kind of said about that game a lot, is no Halo game, like, the most different feeling Halo game is Combat Evolved, and that's because of the style that it was made, how it was made, what its intent was, and then, of course, Halo kind of formed its own identity after that. But Combat Evolved feels very different, but in a very good way. It kind of shows a precipice of, yes, this is what we are going for, but this is our first attempt at it, and so forth. It's very cool. It's something that I've always loved about the game, is, allowing it to kind of have its own uniqueness to it. And that's one thing I like about every Halo game, is they all do kind of have that about them, is its own unique little thing. And Combat Evolves is a lot of the environment, and a lot of the environmental storytelling that you see within the game. When you see the Covenant after they're attacked by the Flood, or like the soldiers and how they're reacting. If you, yet again, have never played Combat Evolved, it's one that I recommend it. The game has aged insanely well. You may not be a big fan of the graphical style, that's just for the times, but it's personally one of my favorite things about it is the graphical style. I'm a huge fan of just that era of a lot of polygons and kind of just how it looked. To me, it really solidified that era of, like, kind of what got me started of, like, playing games. So if you haven't played Combat Evolved, you definitely should, but also, it's a good time to celebrate, and I've been wanting to do another Combat Evolved video for a bit, so who knows, I might just throw one out here this week and get it done. But I have so many other videos planned. I do have a really big BO6 video that I'm going to be working on. If y'all don't know, for a while there, I had a series called What Makes Blank Game Great, and I do want to bring it back because the Halo 3 one did insanely well, and I want to do one for Black Ops 6 because I do think there's a lot of really cool talking points about this game and the COD series as a whole. But mostly just this one and kind of what it brings to the table. Holy shit, what the fuck happened to this game? Okay. But I do really want to talk about this game in a little bit more depth, so I am going to be having that out this week, and just having some fun. Of course, we're still going to be doing Halo videos. Don't ever worry about that. I will say, for the What Makes a Blank Game Great series that I have been doing, and I haven't done one in a while, but I do want to do another one. I'm trying to figure out how I want to do the rest of the series. So we did 3, and I wanted to do the Halo games chronologically when they came out. So I wanted to do 3, then 3 ODST, Reach, and then 4. But I don't know how I'm going to do one for 5 yet, just because Halo 5 doesn't have a PC port, so it's kind of hard for me to get in there, but I want to, because I do think there's a lot of really good talking points about that game. I do think there's a lot of really good talking points about 5 that could really show that the game is actually extremely underrated within the Halo series, that brought back a lot of really cool things that we loved about old Halo, mixed with a little bit of new. I think 5 gets wrapped under the bus so much of being a bad game, because people, I don't know, after Halo 4, which undoubtedly had some issues. I love Halo 4. I think it has a lot of really cool ideas. It just shouldn't be executed in Halo. I just don't think it works in that type of game. But when it comes to 5, there was a lot of really, really cool ideas that should have just been kept going forward to Infinite. Of course, we didn't see because it got so much flack at the time. Mostly things like microtransactions, which really didn't affect the core multiplayer component. It really just affected Warzone more than anything. But that's just how the world goes, I guess. And I think Halo 5 will one day get the recognition that it deserves. I also just think a lot of players now that play FPS games just don't like a game that has a bit of a skill gap to it. Like something that you have to like legit sit down there and learn again and again and again. Which I think affects not just Halo, but a lot of FPSs, honestly, is that people just don't want to learn how to play a game anymore. It's really weird, and I'm not saying that like in a negative context. It's one thing that I've always really criticized COD for, and that's why I've always used the term that COD kind of in a lot of ways did ruin the FPS genre, because it's so easy that if you go play another FPS game, you're like, wow, why am I not good at this like I am at Call of Duty? And it's like, well, because Call of Duty is a very straightforward game. It's not hard to be good at COD, for example. Like, it's just objectively not like a hard game to pick up. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, listen, I've been playing BO6 like crazy because it's just kind of fun. It's a different pace. It's something I get to, like, kind of just turn my brain off and do. Like, I'm not really thinking while I'm playing this game. It's just, I'm having brainless fun. And that's fine. I like that in games. Like, I like a game that I can just run around and shoot shit. Of course, COD does have its own unique skill gaps at times, especially with, like, people who are, like, really high-skilled players, but I'm not taking anything away from them. Like, COD has a high-skilled demographic. It's just not as hard to accomplish getting to that high skill as I would say other FPSs are. And I think that's one thing that I think gets undermined at Halo a lot, is that, like, Halo actually is a pretty easy game. I think a YouTuber that I like, The Shy Away, says it best. Halo is an easy game to play, a hard game to master. And I completely agree with that sentiment. And I think a lot of people do want games that are they can master, they can really get the hang of and show their, show their skill in a lot of different ways. And Halo is a little bit harder to do that, and I think the ease of COD makes it where people don't want to play games that are a little bit more difficult. Now, for people who do like playing more difficult games, that's awesome. I love that. Like, play what you like, of course. Like, nothing is wrong with that. It's okay to like what you like. But I do think now, like, the environment of, like, just saying every game's dead because not as many people are playing it as other games is, I think, kind of weird and wrong. And then also in the Halo side of things, people using Steam charts to determine the amount of players in a game, I think, is a little bit odd. Like, Halo isn't a massive PC game. It's always been more aligned with console gaming. Of course, I do play on PC, so, of course, I do like seeing those things and, like, looking at them, but I do gotta realize that that's not what most people are playing. I was, like, doing the same thing with Call of Duty. It's mostly a console game. Sure, there's a lot of PC players because, well, one, it's accessible now on PC, and it's okay to play on PC, but it's mostly a console game. Most of the players in this game are going to be playing on console, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's using the correct information to get those things across, but that's besides the thing. But back to the point of talking about Combat Evolved, because this video I did kind of want to, like, talk about it a bit while I'm even not playing Halo, so, that's just what we do here. If I get an excuse to talk about Halo, even when I'm not playing Halo, I can still do it. But with that Combat Evolved remake, I do want to see weapons like the DMR and such in it, because I do think it's an integral thing to have an actual true precision weapon, especially in Halo now, because I feel like precision weaponry has become a huge staple in Halo games. I know some people like it, some don't, and that's completely okay. I know I even have people say, like, oh, I don't like the Bandit in Halo Infinite. Personally, I love the Bandit. To me, it's the most enjoyable DMR to use. It's been pretty, like, I don't know, it's fun. It's different, but I like it a lot, and I like a lot of its, like, ways that you can use it effectively, I think is really, really cool. So, who knows? I might be in the minority for that, and I'm completely okay with that. I know people love the H4 and H5 DMR a lot, too, which I do. The H4 DMR, genuinely one of the most fun weapons to use in Halo, because it has a skill gap that the BR didn't have, with, like, the bloom effect and everything, it being a little bit slower fire rate, but dealing out that crazy damage. But then you had, like, the effect of, hey, if I land all these shots, I know I'm gonna melt this person. Like, I know I'm gonna get the kill. There's no stopping it. There's, like, no way for you to, stop me from getting this said kill. Gosh, damn, they are all running in here at me. Please stay away, I'm scared. Like, come on, man, what are we doing? Yep, I'm throwing nade over here. We're gonna hit him. No, we're not, because I'm gonna miss that nade completely because of how it fucking... Okay. No way Grape Juice just knifed me like that. Like, come on, buddy, what are we doing? But overall, like, I'm excited for the future of Halo, and, with this anniversary and everything, just like we had with the 20 years of Halo 2, which is kind of insane to say in a lot of ways. Like, I genuinely can't believe I'm saying that Halo 2 is 20 years old. It kind of baffles me a little bit because of at the time is terrifying in a lot of ways, but it's awesome. I love it. I mean, I'm just excited for more Halo content in the future. I'm super excited for what this next year has in intel for us. I'm I'm just gonna be completely honest. I'm confident in Halo Studios and what they're wanting to accomplish, what they have laid out, especially at Worlds and everything, which I did a whole video on. Really gave me some feelings of they know what to do and they know how to bring people back. They have a set idea. I mean, the biggest issue we know with Infinite's dev cycle was that the game was very spaced out. No one was really working with one another, and they've kind of seemingly got that under control, being like, no, we want our people working together. We know that's what makes a good game great. It's one thing that made the Bungie game so special. Is everyone was so interconnected in this world of like, okay, we know what to do. Even if things weren't done in the best way, you just knew exactly what their fan base wanted. They knew how to make a Halo game more than just Halo. They knew how to add something upon it. And that's one thing I've always, really respected about those games. And the 343 games have kind of felt a little bit disconnected from one another in a lot of weird ways. Even like down to the story of Halo, it feels a little bit discombobulated. And I want to see it kind of reeled back in and realizing, oh, this is how we do this. And of course, we had some of the old devs of Halo talking about the new like the new people they brought on. I mean, like, this was a really good pick. This person knows what they're doing and they know how to make a good game. I will say I'm a little bit worried about UE5 a little bit. I know it's a bit of a weird engine. It's been having some issues with some PCs, especially with like Intel series processors. Have been having some issues with UE5, but I am excited nonetheless. I think if they really give it their all and put out something good, and if it's not a rushed product, which we know Infinite was, if you even just, you can tell the game was rushed, and whether that was a Microsoft thing or a 343 decision, we don't necessarily know. There is the assumption that Microsoft was kind of behind that, and it indefinitely impacted Halo Infinite's development. I mean, if we just look at the game from the beta to the release, they're like, oh, nothing changed. This clearly came out way too fast. Like, this game should have had another, year of development, upon the extension that it already had. But of course, they wanted to get it out for the new Xbox, and I don't know. I think Infinite, at its core, is possibly one of my favorite Halo games when it comes to just gameplay. I've said this multiple times in videos, and people have disagreed with me multiple times in saying this. Halo Infinite is like a genuine top 3 Halo game for me, based off of just gunplay in general, or like gameplay in general. Like, I love the way the game feels. Like, I've said it multiple times. I've told people Halo Infinite is my favorite multiplayer game that I've played in the last 5 years. And I'm not somebody who just focuses on the content of the game. Like, I love having content to go for and all that. It makes it fun. But I do always judge a game based off of its core gameplay mechanics. And the way Halo Infinite feels, despite the occasional server issues and stuff like that, like, that's going to be an issue in any online multiplayer game, because you have to take in connections, different servers, all of that. Like, it's an issue, but it's nothing that is, like, so game-breaking that it makes it impossible to play. I do honestly think that some people are a little bit too jaded by certain games, that it causes them to think poorly of games that are actually really good. It's weird. The whole gaming community is kind of in a weird spot, I think, currently. I do hope it changes for the better. I really hate the whole mindset of every game's dead because it's not, the big title right now. Like, for example, Call of Duty has, the following that it has because it comes out every year. And there's, like, nothing that can really compete with that. And the biggest thing that I say to people who have issues with COD is simply don't buy them. I mean, I didn't buy Black Ops 6. I wouldn't have, I'll be completely honest, as a creator, I wouldn't be playing this game if it wasn't on Game Pass, because I simply just don't really play Call of Duty as much as I like playing other games. I've liked this game a lot, and it's given me something different to, like, play and everything. So that's been, like, the nice switch up. But this game will never be my main focal point of what I want to talk about or what I want to do, like, as a creator. I think Call of Duty has a lot of really fun aspects, and there are goods and bads of every game, but it's just, it's not my main focal point. It's not the series that keeps me around anymore. Of course, I played Call of Duty my entire life growing up. It was the game that all your friends played, so, there was reasoning behind it. Everyone knows that. I think that's another reason why COD succeeds so much is because it's like the game to play with friends because you can take it super seriously or not. Like it's all dependent on how you want to play. I will say it's a little bit harder to do that now with skill-based matchmaking, but it's definitely the game to sit down and talk to friends and just kind of not think while you're playing it. While a lot of other games really don't gear towards that kind of person, and I've even critiqued Halo on that, is I think there should be more social elements that are taken in consideration instead of just trying to please both sides. Have a team that's dedicated to both things and kind of space it out to where it really works in that way. It's kind of like what Bungie did back in the day. They were kind of really hands off with the competitive side of Halo, but were very involved with the social side. They just wanted a fun game for people to play, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. So I think that would be a really good way to start with this whole thing, was be doing that over what they were doing. But hey, it's whatever they want to do. It's whatever they see fit, and I'm not going to complain. I mean, if I have an issue, I'm not going to be afraid to openly critique it, and I've always been true to that. There are things that I've critiqued Halo Infinite on, for sure. Like, it's undoubtedly, there's videos where I do, but I also try to highlight the good points of Halo because I don't want to just focus on negative things. That's just not what I like doing. I like to focus on the good things of games. That's my main part like here. As listen, I like video games, dog. I just want to talk about cool shit that I like in games. There's nothing wrong with that. But other than that, though, I think that is where we're going to end off here for today. So do yourself a favor. Go play some Halo Combat Evolved today. Go enjoy the anniversary of the game. If you haven't played Combat Evolved before, you should go do that. It's one of the best games ever. So, just do it. Just go have fun. Go have fun. Play the games that you like. Don't worry about what other people say. If people say your game is dead, but you're still enjoying it and you're still wanting to play it, keep playing it. Don't ever stop. Just play the shit that you like. There's nothing wrong with that, and I will die by that for you. You don't have to die on that hill. I will. But, go have some fun. Have a great day. And, yeah. Later, dudes.